Hey everyone, it's Riley. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am so excited to set up 2021 with you guys. So this 2021 setup is super minimal. I'm not using too many pages, not doing too many fancy spreads, and the biggest reason for that is because this is not my journal. This is a custom bullet journal that I'm making for my Etsy shop, and so my own 2021 setup is going to include like 2 or 3 times as many spreads as this. Like, I've been planning it out and it's getting long, but I am so excited to make that video, and when I do, I will be posting that here on YouTube probably in the next 2-3 weeks or so. So like I said, this bullet journal is for a client in my Etsy shop. She wanted a really minimal yearly setup. So I'm going to be using one color. It's one of my Crayola Super Tips. I'm also using a bunch of different sizes of fine liners, and you can find all of my supplies linked in the description. So if you're just looking for sort of the bare bones of what to include as you're setting up a new year in your bullet journal, I think this video is a great video for you, because in these custom bullet journals, I'm honestly really tight for space. I have enough space to do have each week have their own page, a few monthly spreads, and then like 5 pages of yearly spreads. So it's really condensed. So if you're just looking for kind of a starting point, a few sort of essential spreads to include at the beginning of your new bullet journal, this is the video for you. But if you watch this and you think maybe you want a little bit more of a challenge, or you want to sort of step up your game a little bit more, include some more unique spreads, try a more unique theme for your 2021 setup, I would definitely recommend staying tuned to my channel, because I'll be uploading my own 2021 setup as soon as possible. So if you like some of these spreads that you're seeing in this video, please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you. Which spreads are your favorite? Which are things that you've used before? And what are some other spreads that are not in this video that you would like to sort of see in action for a 2021 planning video? So grab your bullet journal and your pens, or just some tea, and sit back and let's plan 2021. So I'm going to start this journal off with just a really simple quote page, and I'm going to put the quote on sort of a little piece of note paper that's kind of tacked up. So I'm just drawing the paper now, and I do all of my measuring kind of in the moment. You can probably see me like counting with my fingers how many dots I want to leave on each side, and so that's usually what I do in my bullet journal. Occasionally I'll go in with pencil first, but honestly that's usually just for the sake of the video more than anything. I myself would rather just like go at it and hope that it works. So that's what I did with this, and I got it nice and centered just the way I wanted it. And now I'm adding kind of like a wire grid behind it, you know how some people have those up on their walls. So she wanted, like I said, something really simple. So I decided to keep that sort of simple theme all throughout the journal. So this quote page, very simple, not too elaborate. I'm only going to use one color, and it's one of my Crayola Super Tips. You can see them sitting right there ready to go. So I'm just going to finish setting up this quote page, and the quote that I use is one that I've been using in most of my custom bullet journals lately, and I just like it for the beginning of the year. It says, "The best time for new beginnings is now." So you can see this page also kind of doubles as the yearly title. I'm not going to have a separate title page for just the word 2020 or the numbers 2021, I mean. Instead, I'm just going to put it on this page, because like I said, I'm pretty tight for pages in these custom bullet journals. And you can see as I'm setting up my quote, I actually place the bigger words first, even if it's not necessarily in order. So I wrote best before I wrote the, and I wrote new before I wrote for. I just kind of prioritize which words I want to be bigger, and often those are the ones in my fancier font, and then I'll place the other words kind of after that to make sure that everything fits the way I want it to. So there is her title and quote page for 2021. So the next thing that I want to set up here is a future log, and I'm going to do this over 2 pages to span the entire year. And again, I didn't do any of the measuring in advance, so I'm basically just counting 7 grid spaces for the 7 days of the week that I need to fit as I go, and I'm gonna just color in a little highlighted section to write the month of the year. You can see I did make a mistake, and I found that covering it up with my white gel pen just works so well. Like once the gel pen dries, you can hardly even tell it's there. So the color that I'm using in this journal spread is the same one that I used for my October plan with me, and it's one that I really, really love for my own journal. When I did that video of me numbering all of my Crayola Super Tips, this marker is number 45. So it's part of the 100 pack of Crayola Super Tips that I absolutely love, and it's one of my favorite colors in there, just this really beautiful muted sort of sage green. So I'm just writing the days of the week, just obviously the first letter of each day, S, M, T, whatever, for all of the months. And then I'm gonna go in and make little calendars, and there will be enough space underneath for her to write birthdays, significant events, and things like that, but not too much space that this has to overflow onto more than just these 2 pages. Wow, making future logs always makes my hand so sore. Like I remember how my hand was feeling at this point, but it's so satisfying just seeing all of these calendars so like tiny. You know, I use one of my smallest fine liners. I think it's my 0.005 Pigma Micron. And I just love the tiny little numbers making these little calendars. It's just so satisfying once it's all done. So for the monthly titles, I'm just using the same calligraphy type font that I used on my quote page and title page. So it's just, I think it's called like monoline calligraphy. I could totally be wrong, but where you're not using a brush pen or even a felt tip or anything that allows you to give like thicker and thinner strokes, all of the strokes are the same width. And so that's the font that I decided to kind of go with for the start of the year. And actually, as I went through the year, I ended up going back to more of my typical calligraphy where I do use like a brush pen and have thicker downstrokes, thinner upstrokes, and all of that. So the next page that I'm setting up here is for a bucket list and a goals section. So I'm putting those both on one page, and I find that for myself personally, I don't actually refer back to these kinds of spreads as often as I want to, and I also don't usually need as much space as I give myself, especially for things like a bucket list. Like in my head, I think I have so many things, but then when I actually put it down on paper, I realized that there's not that many things to write down, especially if it's just a 2021 bucket list. So I figured I could combine these onto just one page since we are kind of tight for space in this journal. So the top box here is going to be the bucket list. I'll just write in the heading and then give her some guidelines for her to write on. So for the goals box, I divided it into 2 columns. So I have the goal on the left and then action steps on the right. So I used just a gray line, kind of alternating lines for her to write down different goals. And then beside it, there's space for sort of 2 action steps per goal. And the final page that I'll be setting up here is just a page of things to check out. I know lots of people kind of spread this over a few pages and have one page of things like things to watch, one page of things to read or things to listen to, and I decided again that I could probably just combine those all onto one page. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to separate the page into 3 different boxes, one for things that she wants to read, one for things she wants to listen to, and one for things she wants to watch, just so that she can come back here throughout the year. I know for me, when I hear of a great movie or a great podcast or something, I always want to listen to it, but so often I completely forget what it is by the time I'm ready to actually sit down and watch a movie or listen to a podcast. And so having a place like this to just kind of dump that down where she can always return to it throughout the year, I think will just be super helpful. Speaking of which, if you guys have any great movies that you've watched recently or books or podcasts, feel free to drop those below too. I love getting suggestions for that to add to my own bullet journal. Alright, so here's a flip through of our 2021 setup. We've got our title and little quote page, a 12-month future log, and a page for goals, bucket lists, and things to check out in 2021. Thank you guys so much for joining me to set up a new year in this custom bullet journal. I hope that you enjoyed it, and if you did, I would love to hear from you in the comments below. Which spread was your favorite? Which one would you include as you're setting up your own journal for 2021? And what's another spread that you would like to see that you didn't see in this video? I would love to hear from you guys, and I hope to see you in the next video.